ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
The LouieTeeNetwork is powered by MusicHead University. MusicHeads, classes in session. Turn me up. Enroll on YouTube now. Link is in the description.
Who else could it be? For me, Louie T. Welcome to Thursday Night Football overtime. Seahawks, Cowboys. What a ball game that was. Not expecting 41-35. Cowboys get it done, improve to 9-3 on the season, stay within striking distance of the 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles. They will be sitting and hoping that the 49ers get it done, which would set up a matchup essentially for first place. Again, even if they were to win and tie the Eagles at 10-3, the Eagles still have a better conference record than the Cowboys do at this current juncture. But that's nor here nor there. The bottom line is the Cowboys find a way to get it done. And that's the name of the game, as we always say. But this is why people don't respect Dallas when it comes to their record. Now, look, 9-3 is impressive. And I'm not one of those people that want to kill Dallas for beating the teams that are put in front of them, right? I think the only issue that I have with them is that they lost to Arizona earlier in the season. You should be 10-2 right now and not needing anyone's help to take the Eagles down in the NFC East. But outside of that, they can't help who's on the schedule. You know, they can't help what has been put in front of them. All they can do is take care of the teams that they've beaten this season. And we're going to find out just how good they are, right? You know, all the conversations surrounding Dallas and their inability to beat teams with winning records, which they beat one tonight in the Seattle Seahawks. But we're going to see what they're made of. Eagles next week, Bills after that. Then it's the Dolphins, and then it's the Detroit Lions. So we're going to find out everything we want to know about this Dallas Cowboys team. We're going to find out over the next month. Their next 4 games will tell the story, right? Eagles were just put through the gauntlet, and you see how they've played, right? We'll find out if the Cowboys are up to task. But this game in particular was fantastic. Start to finish, no punts, over 250 yards of penalty yardage, which I thought the officials were way too involved in this game. There was a penalty on Bobby Wagner on a check down where you go, you got to be kidding me. What are we doing right now? Seriously, are you guys trying to be the stars of the show or what? Keep your damn flags in your pocket. But I thought that this was well played by both teams. And you got to start with the victors. To the victors go the spoils. We start with Dallas as they improved to 9-3 on the season with this 41-35 victory. And I've talked about this already. Dak Prescott is playing the best football of his career. Another 3 touchdown tosses tonight. He's playing on another level right now is Dak Prescott, and he looks comfortable out there. He's running again. That was something that was kind of absent from his game really since the broken ankle. You really hadn't seen him run and have that be a huge part of the offense. It's not a huge part of the offense, but it's a big enough part of the offense that you have to respect it. You saw him pull it out late in the ball game when he needed to. He's right now dialed in. That throw to Ferguson for that go-ahead touchdown, that's a beautiful throw, man. That's perfect location, you know, away from the defender where his guy can get it and, you know, make him adjust to it. You know, you've heard of back shoulder fades. That was just that was an inside shoulder fade. You know what I'm saying? And it was perfectly placed. He's just dialed in right now. That first touchdown pass to CeeDee Lamb over the top of the defense, that's not bad defense. That's just a great throw, right? Like, he's locked in right now, is Dak Prescott. I actually thought the play calling by Mike McCarthy was pretty special tonight. Every time it felt like Seattle had them on the ropes, either there was a penalty or the Cowboys, you know, busted out a nice screen. There were very timely screens in the game. I thought he did a really good job of mixing it up. I didn't love, you know, the last play call at the end of the game. You know, again, I get what you were trying to do, but you just needed 4 yards and the game's over. Like, you didn't need a jugular vein there. You just get the 4 yards and, you know, get out of Dodge with your 38-35 victory. But outside of that, I thought it was a pretty good game from Mike McCarthy as a play caller. as well. Defensively, though, that's the story. And CeeDee Lamb, too. I don't want to leave out CeeDee Lamb because Sedarius was on one tonight. He was fan-freaking-tastic again. Did have the 4th down drop, but that was the only mistake he made all night long. Had the big run at the end of the game that set up that final field goal. I thought that was poor clock management on the part of Seattle because at the end of that run, CeeDee Lamb was tackled with 2:15 left. You got to call your first timeout. Your second timeout right there. You can't let that 15 seconds bleed off the clock and call your other 2 timeouts on the other side of the 2-minute warning. You essentially should have gotten the football back with 2 minutes to go in the game. And instead, you got it back with 1:45. Again, it's not a big deal because you didn't do anything with it anyway. But that's a precious 15 seconds that you let burn off the clock for no reason, right? But anyway, that's nor here nor there. CeeDee Lamb was fantastic. Brandon Cooks is continuing to emerge and starting to give them that second receiver that they've been yearning for, opposite of CeeDee Lamb since there has been no more Amari Cooper. So this is good for the Cowboys. He's starting to play some of his best football in a Cowboys uniform at the right time. And then they've got a bevy of tight ends. Ferguson has been really good for them. Schoonmaker is a guy that they're still working in, but Ferguson was really good tonight, especially in the screen game. Rico Dowdle is providing them with a little bit of a pop in the run game in terms of physicality. And you know what Tony Pollard is. You get him out on the edges, he's a problem. You give him a crease, he's a problem. And he was solid in the game as well. But the Cowboys overall, they're just really good offensively, and if they can just be even better in the red zone, I still think they got some issues in the red zone. They clean that up offensively. There aren't many holes in their offense right now. There aren't many things they can't do with that offensive line, with the way Dak's playing, with all the weapons that exist on that offense. There's not much that they can't get accomplished if they clean up some of the red zone woes that they're currently experiencing. But defensively, I was shocked at the performance by Dallas tonight, though. This is a defense that had been dominating teams at home. The Seahawks had been struggling coming into this game. You expected much of the same tonight. They were without their dynamite running back, second-year running back, Kenneth Walker III. So that was going to hurt them there. Not that Zach Charbonnet is mincemeat, but he's not Kenneth Walker III. And so you felt like, okay, that's going to hurt him a bit. Geno hadn't been playing his best football of late. He also had the injury to the elbow about 3 weeks ago or so. And, when you look at the Seahawks, they had just been struggling on offense. Point blank, period. They hadn't been a dynamic offense since earlier in the season, if we're being honest with one another. Defensively, they've been okay, but, you can move the ball on them. So the expectation was Dallas won the toss and elected to receive. They wanted to make a statement. They wanted to jump Seattle, which they went right down the field and scored a touchdown. They wanted to jump Seattle, and they wanted to make a statement and put these boys out of their misery early, and the defense didn't allow that to happen. Dallas did their part on the offense. They went right down the field and scored a touchdown. Came right back, got a field goal. After that, got another touchdown. But the problem was Seattle went right back down the field, answered Dallas's touchdown with a touchdown. Then they missed the field goal, all right, after having a bad 5-yard delay of game penalty, which that 5 yards was the difference in that field goal being missed. And then after you get up 17-7, they go right back down the field, score a touchdown, get the stop before the half, force a field goal of Dallas, and then they go right down the field, get the touchdown, and then score again after halftime. Seattle scored on their first 4 out of 5 possessions, and the one that they didn't score was a missed field goal. They scored 4 touchdowns in 4 consecutive possessions. The final 3 possessions of the first half, including a touchdown with no timeouts and 1:30 left in the first half, and then a touchdown to start the second half. 4 straight possessions, 4 straight touchdowns against this vaunted Cowboys defense. We talk all about, the pressure that they get and all the guys that they have up front and the versatility and this, that, and they couldn't get to Geno Smith. Now, when the game was in the balance and they had to have it, they got pressure on Geno Smith. I felt like that was when Shane Waldron dropped the ball tonight. I thought he was fantastic as well. We'll get to him when we get to Seattle. But for a defense that has been really mopping the floor with opposing teams, specifically at home, this was a disappointing outing. And this is what we kind of harken back to when we talk about Dallas and we talk about, are they ready for the 49ers and the Eagles of the world and some of the upper echelon teams? Are they ready? This is why people don't think they're ready, because the offense right now has taken the challenge. Right now, the offense, I can't tell you the last game that Dallas offensively didn't play well. Even in the loss to Philadelphia, offensively, they played well. They made some mistakes. They missed some opportunities, but they played well, right? But this defense hasn't been great when its best is required against better competition. When they're playing the little sisters of the poor, they're going out, they're dominating, they're picking teams off, they're making all kinds of plays, they're getting to the opposing team's quarterback, and they're suffocating them. But when they've seen quality offenses, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Seattle tonight, we've seen what has happened to this Cowboys defense. And so it begs the question, just how good are they defensively? Really? In watching the game against Washington a week ago, I wasn't expecting Washington to light the scoreboard up, and they didn't, because they're inconsistent offensively with their play calling. Similar to Seattle tonight, Seattle went 0 of 3 on fourth downs. That's what Washington did last week, is essentially they couldn't get it done in those short yardage, fourth down situations, and it cost them dearly. And that's what happened to Seattle tonight. But when you look at Dallas, Washington moved the football against them last week. You look at this Seattle Seahawks team, they went up and down the field. Geno Smith, 3 touchdown passes, 300 yards passing tonight. I think up until that Washington game last week, they hadn't surrendered a 300-yard passer nor a 100-yard receiver at home this season. Well, they gave up 300 yards passing last week to Sam Howell. They gave up a 100-yard receiver last week to Curtis Samuel. They gave up a 300-yard passer again today. They gave up another 100-yard receiver to DK Metcalf. Like, this defense has been really good this season, but it's been really good against really bad oppositions. They haven't been all that great against offenses that are solid or really good. And so I'm really asking myself, just how good is this Cowboys defense anyway, right? We've been giving them all this credit, talking this defense up. But when there's resistance, they're not pushing back. They're not pushing back. And tonight, DaRon Bland did get a pick, right? But he's squatting on routes. I'm waiting for somebody to give this man a wicked double move, a wicked out and up. Because I tweeted this out, 90% of his picks this season, especially the pick sixes, have come off of that exact same route. An out route that he's squatting on, that he's running for the receiver, and he's jumping the route, and he's picking it off and going the other way. And at some point, somebody's got to run that out, turn, and turn that shoulder, make him drive on it, and then up. Somebody's got to get this man and bait him. I'm waiting on it. Like, how many times are you going to keep throwing it out and letting him pick it off? He had a rough night. DaRon Bland had a rough go of it. Even in the second half, he was getting cooked. And if you want to know the biggest play in the game, it was another play where DaRon Bland got cooked. And unfortunately, Tyler Lockett dropped the football. That's where the game was lost, if you ask me. It really boiled down to that one play. It's 35-30. Dallas hasn't stopped Seattle all night long. All night long, all night. Oh, all night long, all night. All night. Geno's just going up and down the field all night long. And he's got Tyler Lockett wide open over the middle of the field. And Geno probably let it go a tick too soon, right? And it would have been a lot better if he would have put that ball slightly out in front of him so Lockett could see it instead of it being right in his face as soon as he turned around. That ball was on Lockett before he could even really get his hands up to protect himself. Still, he should have caught it. But in saying that, if that ball's put out in front of him, there's no Cowboy defender in the middle of the field, and DaRon Bland is trailing on that play. That is a touchdown. That is a touchdown. It's 42-30, and the game is over. Worst case scenario, Lockett gets caught from behind by Bland, and I don't think that's going to happen because Bland is not faster than Tyler Lockett. But if he catches him, they're in field goal range. Now you just got to find a way to either score the touchdown, burn some more clock, score the touchdown, or you kick the field goal and you go up 8 and make Dallas have to score a touchdown 2 point, which they ultimately did, and then have to score again to beat you. But at the end of the day, the Cowboys defense rose to the occasion on several fourth downs. I did not love the call on the first fourth down. On the second fourth down, they came after him, got pressured. Geno was flustered. That last one, that can't happen. You can't turn the best defensive player in the league loose on fourth down and whatever it was with the game on. Let's just call it fourth in the game. You can't turn Michael Parsons loose. Are you kidding me? What you drank? Fluid? I mean, what are we doing here? What kind of a shit show are we running when we turn the best player on the field loose in the most critical situation in the game? And I know Michael Parsons didn't register a sack. He's ridiculous, man. Did you see the one pressure he had on third down where he turned the tackle, Lucas, around? Like, got this man playing ring around the rosy, right? Like, this man is spinning in a circle off of a simple pole vault, a long arm of the law, as I call it. Just a simple bull rush. Turn this man around like he got on a blindfold. Like we about to go hit a pinata or something. This man was literally trying to block him with his ass. Michael Parsons is dumb, okay? That inside move is scary. His explosiveness is ridiculous and unfair. His get-off is the best I've seen since prime Von Miller early in his career. And I liken it to that of Derek Thomas, who I think has the greatest get-off I've ever seen in NFL history. I think his get-off is just as good as DT's was back in the day. I mean, Michael Parsons is a freak. And, and they showed how he impacted the game despite not registering a sack tonight. His impact was felt. He single-handedly forced a field goal earlier in the game, the one that they ultimately missed. He forced that field goal attempt by getting to Geno Smith's leg, splitting a double team. Late in the game, that third down on that final possession, he turns the tackle around, and that's the pressure that forces Geno Smith to essentially throw the ball into the ground. And then the final play of the game, I mean, Geno's got to get that ball in the air. You can't. It's fourth down, bro. You can't throw it at he threw it like he was avoiding an intentional grounding. This is the game, bro. You can't throw it at the running back's feet. What are we trying to accomplish here? Even if it gets picked up, you got to throw that bad boy in the air and hope something happens. Anyway, defense came up big when they had to. On 3 fourth downs late in the ball game, we could sit here and criticize the defense, talk about how bad of a performance it was because it was not a good performance. But when the game was on the line, fourth down, 3 times in the fourth quarter, they got off the field every single time. And that is how you win in this league. Situational football. All right. What it essentially boils down to is, can you win third downs? Can you win red zone? And can you win the final 2 minutes of each half? The Dallas Cowboys lost the end of the first half. They won the final 2 minutes of the second half. And that was the difference. And they won fourth downs. All right. And they won fourth downs. That's how you win in this league. And they got it done. Big win. I mean, it would have been an epic fail had they lost this game. And it would have really rendered next week's game somewhat anticlimactic, right? Because you've set the stage for, if San Francisco beats Philadelphia on Sunday, you have a chance to tie the Eagles up at 10-3 in the division. You lose tonight, you drop to 8-4, and it feels like the Eagles have pretty much clinched the NFC East no matter what happens moving forward. You wouldn't be able to catch them. Not with the schedule you have remaining, not with the schedule they have remaining. It felt like it would have been done. So you did what you had to do. Even though it wasn't the prettiest, it was gritty. And most importantly, it was a dubski. And they moved to 9-3. If you're Seattle, you dropped to 6-6 with this loss. You haven't been playing great football of late. But this was much better. This was a much better performance. Really, you were let down by the defense tonight. And look, there's no shame in getting scorched by one of the hottest offenses in football right now. The Cowboys are playing otherworldly offensively, especially when they're at home. And feels like they've been at home for like a month and some change now. I was joking with Boss Man earlier today because the Cowboys are going to play 4 out of 5 at home. Remember, prior to the Panthers game, they played the Giants at home because I was joking with him that he had a bye week against the Giants and another bye week against Carolina. That was on the road. Then they came back home for Washington, which turned out to be another bye week on Thanksgiving. They're home again for Seattle, and then they're going to be home again next week for Philadelphia. So 3 straight home games. 4 out of 5 have been at home. They're getting a lot of home cooking, are the Dallas Cowboys here. And they're taking advantage of it, right? Haven't lost a game at home. They hadn't even trailed until tonight at home. But there's no shame in getting cooked by the best scoring offense in the league this season, the Dallas Cowboys. But what we didn't expect was the offensive performance we got out of the Seahawks and Geno Smith and this Shane Waldron offensive game plan. I thought they really attacked the Dallas Cowboys secondary. I thought they were aggressive early and often. I thought they too had a nice screen game set up, understanding that Dallas would try to get after Geno at times. They had a beautiful screen to end the third quarter with Zach Charbonnet. They had a beautiful screen, with Jake Bobo that set up the fourth down that they did not get. They had some really good screens. And then Geno was pushing the ball vertically, really challenging that secondary for Dallas. He did a really good job with his eyes manipulating. That first touchdown to DK kind of set the tone for the night. And he manipulated the safety Wilson there, moved him just ever so slightly, and then threw a damn fastball, like a 97-mile-an-hour heater, right past the safety, right past Deron Bland, who tried to undercut it. And DK snatched it out of the air and took off. And that set the tone for the night offensively for Seattle. It gave them momentum. It gave them confidence. And just like that, the Cowboys had a fight on their hands. And again, they didn't back down. They attacked the secondary. They went after Deron Bland, embarrassed him in the first half in particular. 6 targets, 5 catches, 172 yards, I think it was, 2 touchdowns. And the one pass that wasn't completed was pass interference in the end zone, right? So he was absolutely torched in the first half was Deron Bland. He did get a little bit of revenge on the pick in the second half, but he got lucky. If that Jackson Smith and Jigba catch, instead of it just being pass interference as a catch, he's probably given up 200 yards in the first half. Not to mention, if Tyler Lockett catches that ball in the fourth quarter with the Seahawks up 35-30, that's another 65-yard touchdown right there. He might have given up 300 yards passing by himself tonight if, a couple of catches are made. But, that's the way the cookie crumbles in this league. This is what they need from Geno Smith in this offense. This is such a talented Seahawks offense. Noah Fant is a talented pass-catching tight end. The 3 receivers, that's one of the better trios in the NFL right now, if we're being honest. And they got the young fella, Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's still learning, who's still evolving as a receiver. So he's still coming into his own. Tonight was probably his best game of his career to date. They've got talent, and they didn't even have one of their premier players on offense in Kenneth Walker III, and they still put up 35 points, which speaks volumes as to how well they played tonight. And shout out to that offensive line and give Geno Smith some credit. I'm going to talk about Geno here in a second, but I want to first give some love to this offensive line. Look, we talked all, week long leading up to this game about this vaunted Cowboys defense and how they can get after the quarterback and how you're going to block Micah Parsons. And if you do that, there was a play where Micah Parsons took 3 guys. 3 guys were blocking him. Everybody else is getting one-on-one. Like somebody else has to eat, right? And they were able to sustain for much of the night. And when they didn't, credit Geno Smith for stepping up in the pocket, eluding pressure, finding little spaces to deliver the football, avoiding sacks, whether he threw it away or he threw it at the feet of some receiver or he gave one of his guys a chance and ended up picking up a PI. He did a really good job, too, of making sure that he avoided pressure as well. But that offensive line did a solid job until their best was required. And, that's the part that sucks is you held up all night long. And then when the game was in the balance on 4th down and 1 on a called run, you don't block DeMarcus Lawrence, essentially. You let him jump inside of you, and he makes the play. On the next 4th down, they send pressure. You don't block it up well. Geno has to throw off his back foot, almost picked off. On the final 4th down, you don't block the best player on the field. You don't block the best defensive player in the league, and you turn him loose, and Geno Smith doesn't have a shot. That can't happen. But it was a really good night by the offensive line outside of the 4th quarter, essentially, in those last couple drives of the game. Geno Smith, I thought, was excellent tonight. Yep, he threw the pick. Yep, he missed some throws, but he had the one to the tight end over the middle of the field that he missed. I think they still ultimately scored a touchdown on that drive, if I'm not mistaken. So it didn't hurt them all that much, but he did have the tight end wide open, and he was a little high on that one. He might have been a shade early on Lockett. Would have been nice if he could have put it out in front of him, but that's a ball Lockett's got to catch. He came out of the break, and that ball was there on him. That's a tough one. If you've ever played receiver, you know how that is. When you turn around, the ball is right there. It's hard to react that quick and snatch it out of the air. But I want to talk about Shane Waldron because I thought he had a really, really strong night. But again, one of my biggest pet peeves is situationally being aware. And I thought he failed on that 3rd and 1 or I think it was 3rd and 2. And then, 3rd and 2 at the end of the game, then the 4th and 2 at the end of the game, and then the 2 4th downs, right? So the first 4th down, first of all, let me just reiterate this again. Shane Waldron was outstanding tonight. Sans for the final 2 possessions, final 2 possessions of the game. I didn't love some of the play calling on the final 2 possessions, and then that 1 4th down. So the 3 4th downs, that 1 3rd down, that's really where, I felt like he could have made a huge difference. So let's knock these down in a row. We'll talk about the Seahawks defense quickly, and then we'll get to the comment section. So the first 4th down, you spread Dallas out and you try to run. Even though you've got 2 tight ends on the field, you still spread them out. I wasn't a fan of that, right? If you're gonna try to get cute, then throw the football. Then if you're gonna do all of that, you're gonna spread them out. Like you spread them out to run, but you didn't hardly even touch DeMarcus Lawrence. And had he not made the play, go watch that play again. The tight end gets beat by the safety Wilson, and he's gonna tackle Charbonnet for a 1-yard loss. So he wasn't going to get or no gain. He wasn't going to get the first down regardless, right? I didn't love that. And I love that he got under center. But bring in the formation tight and either you go heavy and you force the Cowboys to stop you, or you go flash or fake, right? You give them that heavy run look. You get Geno out of there on a boot. You have somebody coming across the formation, and you get it out of his hands. But I didn't like spreading them out to try to run. Cowboys are too fast defensively for that. And you saw it on that play with DeMarcus Lawrence jumping inside. They're too quick for that. You want to muck it up. You want to be physical with them. You don't want to try to spread them out and allow their speed to show and shine through. That was the first 4th down call. The second one was a much longer 4th down. I think it was like 4th and 7, 4th and 5, something like that. I would have liked to have seen something quick, just a slant to DK Metcalf. Like, why? Let's not reinvent the wheel here. Like, let's not overdo this. Let's not overthink this. I thought the routes, like he was trying to throw the ball to Jackson Smith and Jigba on a 13 to 17, 15-yard bench route. Like, what are we doing? You think you got time for that? They're coming after him. Get it out of his hands. That should have been something quick. A rub route where you got a slant flat combination. Should have been running double slants, a whip route, something quick, something underneath. I would have just gone to DK on a slant. Stop it. Just like you did on the touchdown. Like, it's not complicated. It's not rocket science. big body receiver. You know they're coming after you. Get it to your big play receiver. Get it to DK on a slant. And then on the 3rd and 2, first of all, I was disappointed because you get 8 with Noah Fant on 2nd down and 10. You get 8, and it's 3rd and 2. And I didn't love the 3rd and 2 call. And Geno was holding on to it for a very long time. Like, you just need 2 yards. How about a screen right there? Look, the clock's running. I get it. That's cool. Look, the game's over if you don't convert. How about a screen on 3rd and 2? You know the Cowboys are looking to try to get it out of his hands. They're going to come out. How about a screen? How about a screen on 4th and 2? Right? They're coming. You know they're coming after Geno. What's up with all of these deep drops? I thought Waldron had done a fantastic job of keeping Dallas off balance all night until it mattered the most. Then it didn't. I don't want to say it was predictable, but it felt like they weren't prepared for the moment, if that makes any sense. All in all, though, you come to Dallas, you're leading from the vast majority of the game. You put up 35 points, which is supposed to be enough to win you a football game. The defense was just awful, specifically with penalties. Some of the penalties were just, egregious. I thought one of the Reek Woolen penalties was trash down the field. He had like 6 of them, so take your pick. I mean, he was in trouble all night long dealing with CeeDee Lamb. The Bobby Wagner one is the one that sticks out like a sore thumb for me because Dak was trying to get rid of that football like a hot potato. And I don't remember if they scored a touchdown on that drive or not. I really think that's the one that ended with the Tony Pollard touchdown. If they don't throw that flag, it's 3rd and Dak had been sacked, I think, on the 1st down on that drive, on that set of downs. So it would have been like 3rd and 14, I think. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. It just would have been 3rd and 10. Either way, that was a bailout. That was not pass interference on a check down. Are you kidding me? That was bang, bang. He was there. What are we doing, right? And those kind of penalties cost you ball games, right? Because, again, this was a 3-point game. And I think Dallas scored a touchdown on that possession. But at the end of the day, defensively, they weren't good. They had too many mistakes, too many penalties. They gave up too many. Like, there was a 3rd and 16 they gave up to Ferguson underneath on a check down. And Witherspoon missed the tackle, and he's able to get the 1st down. Like, you can't give up 3rd and 16. You can't do that. And you did, right? I will say that they stiffened up in the red zone. Let me check my mobile device and see what I'm going. My guess is Dallas was 3 of 6 in the red zone. I don't think they had a great percentage in the red zone. And that's their Achilles heel right now. If you're looking for one thing that's Dallas's kryptonite on offense right now, it's their inability to be effective in the red zone. Now, they've gotten much better of late in the red zone, but it's still a problem, and it was definitely one tonight. So that's something that they're going to have to continue to try and work on and get better at. Let's see. I said 3 of 6 for Dallas. Damn. They were 4 of 8. Damn, they made it to the red zone 8 times? What in the hell? Wow. Okay. And the Seahawks were 4 of 5. So, I mean, what do you expect in a game where neither team punts? Right? We have a single punt tonight. I mean, listen to these numbers for both teams. This game was ridiculous. So 3rd down efficiency, one of the big situations that you have to win in order to give yourself the best chance to win. 9 of 14 for Seattle, 8 of 14 for Dallas. So both teams super effective on the gotta have it down, right? 3rd downs. Now, Seattle, this is where you could argue the game was sort of lost for them. 0 of 3 on 4th downs. Dallas was 1 of 2 on fourth down. And the only reason they didn't convert the other fourth down was the CeeDee Lamb drop, right? You had 406 yards of total offense for Seattle, 411 for Dallas. You had, the one turnover by Seattle. You had one sack given up by Seattle. No lost yards though. You had four sacks on Dak, who hadn't been sacked the previous 3 games, hadn't even really been touched the last 3 games prior to this one. Dallas rushed for 136 yards. Meanwhile, Seattle rushed for 72. But the big number, penalties, 10 for 130 for Seattle, 9 for 127 for Dallas. That was huge for both teams because those penalties set up a bunch of scoring opportunities for both teams. Obviously, the one before the half for Seattle, DaRon Bland's occurred in the end zone, put the football at the 1, and they ultimately throw a slant to DK Metcalf, which is what I would have done on those short yardage situations. Not necessarily 4th and 1. I just didn't like spreading them out. But running the football, I didn't have an issue with that. But the 4th down and 2 at the end of the game, the 4th and 7, I'm going to DK. I'm running a slant to DK. Stop it, right? Dallas dominated time of possession, 36-23. Still, Seattle found themselves in this game because they had explosive plays, which is their MO. They are an explosive offense. When they've got it going, they hit big plays. They're not great on 3rd downs. They don't hold on to the football. They don't matriculate it. That their percentage on 3rd down is huge for them because they're not a great 3rd down offense. They're not a team that sustains drives, but they are a big play offense, and they did that tonight, and it gave them a shot. And had they been better situationally on 4th downs in particular, and again, to me, it boils down to one big play. Tyler Lockett catches that ball up 35-30. That's a touchdown, first and foremost. If he hits him in stride, Bland is beat by 2 or 3 steps, and there isn't any safety help in the middle of the football field. He turns that thing up, and it's good night. But he didn't catch it, and I thought the game went sideways from that point forward. That drive ended in a 4th down miss, and Dallas kind of took over from there, right? Scored the touchdown, got the 2-point conversion. The next drive ended with a 4th down failure, and then after that, they got another field goal, and then the last drive ended with another 4th down failure. So at that point, Dallas hadn't really stopped Seattle at all other than the interception. And they shouldn't have stopped them on that drive, but can't miss that opportunity. But the defense, this is a Seahawks defense that had done a really solid job of getting to the quarterback this season. They do a good job of twisting and stunting up front, making things happen. They didn't, even though they had 4 sacks, they didn't really get to Dak as much as I thought they could have tonight. They didn't do a really good job of getting and affecting him as a passer, and they really struggled in the secondary tonight. They really struggled in the secondary. But anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. If you're out there, you want your comment read, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. If you want to jump to the front of the line, ensure that your comment is read. Use the super chat function. That will ensure your comment is read. We'll get to as many comments as we can, time permitting, obviously. So let's get to the business of these comments. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, we need Josh Allen, DN, somebody who has that it. Josh Allen is cool, but he ain't dominant. Like, let's not go overboard. I don't know how many sacks he has this year. I've watched him. I like him a lot. And he's better than anything that we have. It's not even close, right? Clearly, he's better than anything we have. I wonder what his price tag is going to be because he's not elite. But neither was Montez Sweat. Neither is Montez Sweat, and he got elite money. So if Montez Sweat can command $24.5 million, I wonder what Josh Allen is going to command. So we'll see. I assume, and he's probably, if I had to guess, He's probably got a double-digit sack season somewhere in there. Let's just check and see. I'm curious now. Josh Allen stats. Shit, he got 12 this year. Why you bullshitting? I know I watched him against Houston. He was dominating at the end of that Houston game. He literally single-handedly destroyed that final drive by the Texans as they tried to get into, comfortable field goal range to tie the game up. I didn't realize he was killing it like that, though. He had a 10.5 sack season his rookie year, so I figured he had a double-digit sack season under his belt. I just didn't know he was working on one as we speak. So he's going to get big bread, man. I don't know if I'm willing to pay that kind of money to Josh. How old is he? I mean, he's got to be a young man. He was in the 2019 draft, but Jesus. He are in let me see. Well, no, this got to be a contract year. Does this look like a rookie contract? Let me see. I don't remember him signing another deal since his rookie contract. Yeah, he's a free agent after this season. He's a free agent. And Spot Rack has his value at $21.9 million, so $22 million essentially. He's gonna get more than that. If Montez Sweat just got $24.5 million and he doesn't even have a double-digit sack season to his name, and this man's working on a 12-piece right now with 5 games left. I think Jacksonville had their bye week already, so he's probably working on. They're 8-3, so he's got 6 games left, and he's working on a 12-piece already. Yeah, right. He's looking at 25, 26 million a year. I mean, look, you got to pay to play. We're not in a position where a Josh Allen is going to change the game for us. Like, we're ready to win right now. And I hate even saying that, because if you push all the right buttons, you add a Josh Allen, you get a good guy in the draft, you add that to what we already have, you make some make some moves, you get a good backer here, and you fortify the back. I mean, and that's a lot of shit you got to do. It's just too many. If you do this, if you do that, and you get a guy, you go sign a Josh Allen, you go spend that kind of money like the 49ers did on Javon Hargrave when you feel like we 1 or 2 pieces away. That's when you go out and you spend that kind of money on a guy that can get to the quarterback. Not when you're not sure when you're going to be ready to win. So, but he is a dog. I mean, I didn't realize that dog was hunting quite like that. Look, I like Josh Allen. I don't love him. But working on a 12-piece with 6 games to go, that changes the way I'm. And I watched him at the end of that Houston game on Sunday in particular. And I was like, shit, Josh out here eating. He had 2.5 sacks in that game. And they couldn't block him. When the game was on the line, they could not block 41. But damn, a 12-piece with 6 to go? And that's not a Khalil Mack 12-piece where you got 6 or 7 sacks in one game. That shit spread out over the life of that 12 game, the 11 games that they've played thus far. So that's pretty damn impressive. John Cedillo, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy John writes, "What's up, Lou? What's up, John? Glad for the win, but frustrating at times. Look, you take them any way you can get them, right? It became apparent around halftime that the defense didn't have their fastball tonight, so the offense would need to win this one. Facts. And I don't know, even at halftime, I was like, all right, when's Dallas going to flip the switch on these boys? I kind of thought, I said, this first drive to start the second half is going to be huge. Because it was 21-20, Seattle was up. They scored right before half. Obviously, they get it right after half. And I said, if Dallas is serious about calming these boys down, righting the ship, and settling in defensively, they got to get a stop on this first possession. And Geno walked that bitch right down the field, had the third down scramble for the touchdown, did the finger roll, and I was like, uh-oh. It's going to be one of them nights. And that's when I said, all right, the offense for Dallas is going to have to win this game, because the defense definitely don't have their fastball tonight. Their defense was trash tonight. But it raises a question for me now, all of a sudden, because I could in my mind justify the 49ers ass whooping. You know, I could justify the Eagles, you know, putting up 27. I believe that's what it was, 27 points, whatever it was. I can justify that, 28, whatever the number was. I can justify that. I'm having a hard time reconciling the 27 against Arizona, and I'm having a hard time reconciling the 35 I saw tonight. And the 27 against Arizona, early in the season, first week without Trayvon Diggs, I'll give you a pass. I'm not even tripping. This 35, though, coupled with the 49ers game, 50 whatever or 40 whatever, the 20 whatever from Philadelphia, almost 30. And I'm saying now that there's a bit of a trend here. When you see competent offenses, now it's becoming a trend. So we're gonna see what you do next week against Philadelphia. Then you got another competent offense on the road at Buffalo. Then you got a really good offense again. And again, the Dolphins, I think the Dolphins are the exact same as you. I call them the Cowboys of the AFC because they got the same resume that you do. They beat up on the little sisters of the poor. Every time they see a team with a winning record, they struggle. Early in the season, big test on the road at Buffalo, got their brains bashed in. Big test for you on the road at San Francisco, you got your brains bashed in, right? Then a close loss to Kansas City for the Dolphins, close loss for you against the Eagles, close loss for the Dolphins against the Eagles. So again, we're gonna find out. And now you have a close win against Seattle. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out how good this defense. I'm not even worried about the offense anymore. That's the crazy part. Didn't think I would be saying that because the offense I thought was the issue early in the season. The inability to score in the red zone. I thought you lacked consistency. The run game was invisible at times. You know, the play calling felt a bit uneven, but it feels like Mike McCarthy got back on the bike. You know, calling plays, I would assume, is like riding a bike. You never forget how to do it, but you might get a little rusty. You haven't rode a bike in a while. You don't forget. You just got to get back up there. In order to start doing the wheelies and all the tricks, you got to get back up there and start riding again. I think he's hitting his stride now as a play caller. Now it's like, all right, is the defense good enough? It's the same question I got with Philadelphia. Hey, I don't worry about the offense. I don't worry about Jalen Hurts. I don't worry about A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. I don't worry about DeAndre Swift. Is your defense good enough? Now, I didn't think I had to ask that question with Dallas, but now I find myself feeling like I got to ask this question. Is your defense good enough? We'll see. Mike Jink, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, damn, Lou, I wouldn't have mind losing this game tonight. I bet you wouldn't have. I didn't think we were going to. I'm going to be honest with you. Had Tyler Lockett caught that pass, that would have been the first time I thought that. I did not think Dallas was going to lose this game. The only thing I questioned, I was like, Mike, why you didn't go for two there? And he's like, bro, we Dallas. You don't think we getting back down here and scoring another touchdown? We'll have another chance to go for two. I'm like, all right, well, shit. I was just asking. This is what happens when you trash on offense or you don't score a bunch of points. You immediately panic and say, hey, we got to tie the game up right now. I don't know if we're going to get another shot. He's like, bro, we Dallas. This is what we do. We the number one scoring offense in the league. It's 27-28. You think we done scoring? You think they done scoring? You watching the game, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm watching the game. He said, when then you would know that we'll be back down here again. And so will they. We'll have to go for two at some point. We don't have to do it right now. Touche. Fair enough. And it turned out to be the right decision. So I think all of us would have, none of us would have mind taking a loss tonight. None of us would have. Long Gotti talking sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. All right. So what if Dan Quinn just wants to be a DC and not a head coach again? He wants to be a head coach again. He's having a ton of fun, but trust me, there's nothing like being your own coach. he wants to be in that position again. He's just waiting for the right opportunity. And after what he did in Atlanta, he knows I got to have a quarterback. And that's why I told you last year, it just wasn't a good year to leave. The first year, I thought Jacksonville was appealing, but, you know, the rumors were that nobody really wanted to work for Trent Baalke, who was the GM of the Jaguars at that time. But Trevor Lawrence, you know, was coming off of a rough rookie season with Herb. And so I don't think he saw enough from him to say, hey, I can leave here, go get me a bona fide stud at the quarterback position, and I can whip that defense into shape. I don't think that's where they were. And that was the only job worth taking in that 2021 offseason. 2022 offseason, which was last year, that was the only job worth taking heading into the 2022 offseason. The 2023 offseason that we just had passed, the only job really worth taking was Denver. And after the season, everybody watched Russell Wilson turn in. Nobody was running to take that job. Yeah, right. Nobody wanted the Panthers job. Nobody wanted the Cardinals job. Nobody wanted any of those jobs. All of those jobs stunk, right? So I didn't blame him for turning down these last two coaching cycles and just going back to Dallas. It's the same thing that Ben Johnson did with the Lions. I'm good. There's no need, right? I think it's going to be different this year. If the Chargers move on from Brandon Staley, you know, that's an attractive job to anybody because you know Justin Herbert can sling it. And you know that they got defensive pieces that Dan Quinn could take immediately and turn it into a damn good defense over there. So there'll be some options available this offseason for a prospective coach that, you know, is looking for an opportunity. I think this is the year that you're going to see these coordinators bypass coming back and going ahead and taking a job. Quinn is having fun. He's enjoying himself, but he also wants to be his own coach. I shouldn't say nobody. Most guys aren't in it to be a coordinator. It's just a means to an end. So I think he wants to be a head coach again. Juan Gotti talking sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, NFC number 6 will be the Rams and 7 will Vikings has an easy schedule. I don't think the Rams are consistent enough for me to feel like they're going to leapfrog Seattle. I get it. They've swept the Seahawks this season, so they own the season series. So should a tie arise, they've got the tiebreaker, right? But I still think Seattle is better than the Rams. I think the Rams still are inconsistent. And I still think that when it's all said and done, you're one Matthew Stafford injury away from Carson Wentz being in the game. And I think ultimately that's what's going to happen is somewhere along the way, Stafford's going to have something go wrong. You're going to have to turn to number 11. And we already know how that movie ends. And that's why I can't buy what the Rams are selling right now. We'll see. If Stafford's healthy, which he isn't, he's already dealing with a broken thumb or something, or, you know, a sprain this or that. He's always dealing with something. If he can stay healthy, you might not be wrong. You know, Vikings have an easy schedule, but they got to figure out the quarterback position. They just lost to the Bears. And yes, it is family business. They lost to the Bears 12-10, and they had 18 turnovers. And they lost 12-10, which tells you the Bears are absolute garbage can juice. And they had no business losing the game, and they still lost. So despite having an easy schedule, you got to have the means to take advantage of that easy schedule. Getting Justin Jefferson back will help, but that's not the end-all, be-all. You still need somebody to get him the football. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's get to the comment section real quick. We'll get to a few of these, and then we'll get out of here. All right. Oh, there's a lot of comments in here. Jesus. All right. Derek B, thank you for the super chat. See if I can find something to help me here. My fingers don't want to cooperate. Yeah, this will work. Derek B writes, remember when Terry would turn a slant into a house call? The good old days. We ain't seen that since his rookie season. That he literally turned a slant into a touchdown against the Eagles. He did it against the Giants in 2020 as well. But we don't do those things anymore. We don't put him in those positions anymore. And the route combinations don't allow for the space to catch it and run, split a seam, and go the distance, right? Let's see. There be. Says the moment you realize that the Cowboys aren't that good, the team you love is just that bad. I guess that's a way of looking at it. I mean, the Cowboys are good, but their defense. Look, I walked away from that Cowboys game on Thanksgiving not saying, "Oh my God, the Cowboys are really good." I walked away saying we suck. We had opportunities. We moved the football on Dallas. Like I don't know if we all watched the same game or not. A lot of people walk away and 45-10, you got dog walk, yada yada yada. That's a 20-10 ball game. We had the football in Dallas territory, 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. That's a ball game if we convert there. But we're not a good team and we didn't convert there. So, the rest is history. The thing fell apart. The game fell apart at the seams, but we were right in that game. Despite our defense playing like dog water. Niners fan writes, I hope Geno sticks with Seattle for the next few years. They would be scary with a legit quarterback. I mean, it sounds like you're blaming this loss on Geno somehow. I mean, was Geno perfect in this game? No. Geno played a hell of a ball game, though. And if they had, a better quarterback, how much better would they be? I don't know. I can't, because they didn't lose this game because of Geno Smith. They scored 35 points. And they lost this game because the defense gave up 41 points. Like, I don't really follow. Now, again, Geno hasn't been great all season long, but you can do it. And this is the thing about people, is they always want better. They're never satisfied. They're never content. Unless your quarterback is Patrick Mahomes, everybody is always looking for better. And look, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but sometimes you just got to take what you have and make the most of the situation and see if you can't build around that guy. And if you build a roster that is capable of winning the entire thing and that quarterback is holding you back, then something needs to be done. But so often people want quarterbacks to transcend a roster, bad coaching, everything, and get it done. And if they don't, we got to get another guy. And I'm looking at what Geno Smith did tonight, and I'm saying, I don't know what more you want Geno to do. Not throw the pick, sure. But in the crucial situations, they didn't protect him. That's play calling for me, right? The biggest play of the game, 4th in the game, and you don't block Micah Parsons? Is that on Geno Smith? He missed. There was one egregious miss by Geno in the game, and that was when they had the tight end over the middle of the field, down in the red zone, and they still scored a touchdown on that drive. So I don't think Geno played poorly tonight. He had the one pick. Outside of that, I thought he made some really good throws. And look, could they do better than Geno Smith? Maybe. There's no guarantee, though. I know this. The league continues to write Geno, and Geno continues to not write back. I'll just say that. Juan Gotti talking sports. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, so who do you think gets in at 7 if Seattle is 6? I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked Like in my mind, Seattle's going to hold on to this 6th seed, I think. Let's look at their schedule real quick. Because I say this, but if they continue to play tough teams, they're going to lose. The schedule eases up a bit. They're going to have a chance to hold on to that 6th seed. They got the 49ers next, so that's another loss. So they'll be 6 and 7. Then they have the Eagles. Then they finish up Titans, Steelers. Okay, Seahawks. So maybe you're on something. They're not going to navigate this schedule. This shit got tight on them. And those losses to the Rams are really going to show up huge when it's all said and done. But they're going to lose to the 49ers. I will say they the first ever flexed Monday night game, Chiefs, Patriots out of there, Eagles, Seahawks in there in 2 weeks. Looking forward to it. I don't expect the Eagles defensively to look as bad as Dallas did tonight, but the Eagles aren't good defensively, so I wouldn't be shocked if they did. Anyway, we'll see what happens, but they're going to lose the next 2 games for sure. They'll beat the Titans. They should beat the Titans, I will say. That the Titans are a different team at home. They could lose that game. The Steelers at home, what it's going to boil down to for Seattle, they got to win their final 3 games. I could see them being 6 and 8 heading into their final 3 games, and then you got Titans on the road, Steelers at home, Cardinals on the road. You have to win all 3 of those games because you're not going to win your next 2. That's the likelihood. Okay, no guarantees. They could split the next 2 between San Francisco and Philadelphia. The likelihood is they're going to lose both of those games, drop to 6 and 8, and then you got to win all 3 of your final games of the season, get to 9 and 8, and then see what happens. You asked me who I think is going to get those. I mean, because you said Rams and Vikings. That's not a bad guess. If Stafford is healthy, I think the Rams are capable of making the playoffs. I wouldn't discount the Saints, even though they stink. I wouldn't discount them either. I don't know what their schedule looks like. What it's going to boil down to is what your schedule looks like down the stretch. You got a doable schedule. That may ultimately be the deciding factor down the stretch. The NFC is horrible. The back end stinks. It really does. We know what this is. This is a 4-team race in the NFC. And what it's really going to boil down to is probably who has home field advantage. And I think the 49ers are capable. And we're going to find out in this game against Philadelphia. I think they're capable of winning anywhere. Home, away, doesn't matter. The Eagles have proven that they can win home or away. But Dallas, they're a much better team at home than they are on the road. So, and Detroit, I don't think they're ready yet. Clearly. I look at them like Jacksonville. I feel like that's my thing. I like to, draw comps with teams in opposite conferences. The Dolphins are the Cowboys. And I think the Lions are the Jaguars, right? Anytime they see somebody of note, that's a big, tough guy, they're not ready yet, So I think those 2 are very comparable in where they are in their maturation. And so we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what ultimately happens with the 6 and 7 seeds. It really doesn't matter whoever gets in. Dallas is probably going to beat whomever the 4 seed is, and whomever the 6 and 7 seeds are probably going to lose to Detroit. And again, if I'm the 6th seed, I'm not afraid of Detroit. That's the one I'm aiming for. You get in as a 7 seed, you're getting set up for a massacre, whether it's Philadelphia or San Francisco, you're getting set up. Or even Dallas. Don't want to count them out. If it's Dallas, never mind. You got a shot. But if it's Philadelphia or it's San Francisco, you're getting set up to get bludgeoned to death. All right. John Cedillo, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, still concerned with the offense, particularly with running the ball. Still don't trust this offense against a quality defense, especially in the postseason. That's fair. I'm not as concerned with the offense. Running the football, I think they have to acknowledge that in between the tackles, Rico Dowdle is better than Tony Pollard. I think they just have to acknowledge that. And when you want to get to the edges, you should. And again, you can't be predictable. You can't have tendencies. Okay, Rico Dowdle is in, so they're going to run it up the middle, right? But if I'm Dallas, I'm getting Tony Pollard on the edges. Trying to get him to the outside. We'll get a little inside zone action every now and again. We'll try to go power every now and again, but I'm trying to get him on the outsides, on the edges. But the run game isn't as big of a concern for me. It's the red zone. I've already made it abundantly clear. It's the red zone. They clean up the red zone. I don't really think the offense is something that I would be too concerned with at this point. But you know what? We're going to find out over the next month, because you're going to play the Eagles. I don't consider them a quality defense, but the 49ers are. We saw what happened in that game. The Bills, I think, are better defensively than people give them credit for. The Eagles are just that good on offense. But I think the Bills defensively aren't a bad defense. So we're going to find out on the road, especially on the road at Buffalo. We're going to find out how good you are offensively in that game. Detroit, I watched the Chargers run it up on those boys and score 38. I think you can handle them. I don't really know if their defense is all that. But Miami's defense is really solid. You can score on them, and they just lost Jalen Phillips for the season. That's going to be a big injury, and that's going to be a hurtful loss. But that's a quality defense. So we're going to, again, all the questions that we have about that, we're going to find out, man. There's going to be a lot of answers pertaining to the Dallas Cowboys over the next month. They come out of that thing clean, or they come out of that stretch 3-1. They're going to answer a lot of questions that people have. They come out of that thing stumbling 1-3, barely getting by 2-2, or don't win any of those games. Then we'll know who they are. We'll have our answer. Mike Jink, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, I wouldn't want to see the Rams in the playoffs. They gave you a good run for your money. That was Cooper Kupp's first game back. The Rams are no pushover, right? We know Sean McVay knows how to scheme it up. We know they're tough. Aaron Donald and company. They're not trash. And I watched them destroy. And again, it's Arizona. But Arizona's been really competitive this year. They destroyed Arizona. Destroyed those boys. Dismantled and disassembled them, right? So, again, it all hinges upon Stafford's health. That's always been the case with me, with the Rams. They would have beaten Green Bay if Stafford was healthy in that game, but he didn't play, right? And that's part of the reason they're at 5-6 right now, is because Matthew Stafford hasn't been healthy for 3 or 4 games this season. I don't know if it's been that long. He might have missed like 2 games. But at the end of the day, the Rams aren't beating. I don't think they're beating anybody. Maybe they could beat Detroit. Maybe. They're not beating San Francisco, and they're not beating Philadelphia. And we already seen them get their asses run by Dallas. So I get it, though. Of all those back end of the conference teams trying to make it in, the Rams could be among the most dangerous. I don't think you're necessarily wrong there. And my guy Juan Gotti said they would be one of the 2 wild cards towards the back end. That may be the case. They're sitting there at 5-6. And now both of the final wild card entrants are 6-6, which still makes me want to vomit in my mouth as a Commanders fan, because you're sitting here at 4-8, and 6-6 are the 2 wild cards. All you had to do was win one game, and be at 5-7 right now. Remember, all I kept saying was, if you get to the bye week at 6-7, you straight. And that after we beat New England, that was within reach. We were right there. And with games against Seattle and the Giants before Thanksgiving matchup with Dallas, you're like, hey, we can get 2 out of these next 3 for sure. And then we blow it. lose all 3 of them. And instead of being 5-5, after the Seattle game, you're 4-6. You say, okay, go get the Giants game. You get back to 5-6, and then you got a chance on Thanksgiving to get back to 500. And Jesus, man, sucks. Anyway, I digress. Let's see. Let me see if there are any more comments. All right. Kevin writes, as a Packers fan, this wild card pitching is looking more attainable. I think they're 5-6 now. I ain't worried about Green Bay, though. I still think they got a long way to go. But they're playing better football. What's going to be interesting, and I haven't had a chance to do this, and that's going to ultimately be the deciding factor. Is, like I said already, it's going to be the schedule for these teams. Whose schedule is the most advantageous, and who's in the best position to take advantage of an advantageous schedule? Because the Packers are 5-6, the Rams are 5-6. The Packers are playing the Chiefs. They're going to lose that game. Okay, so that's not a good look for them. Then they play the Giants. That's a winnable game. Then they play the Bucks, a winnable game. Then they play the Panthers. So the Packers we didn't talk about them, but this schedule, they're going to lose and fall to 5-7. They're going to lose to the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. But then they got the Giants, the Bucks, the Panthers, the Vikings, and then the Bears. They could win their final 5 games of the season. They will be favored in at least 3 of these final 5 games. They will be favored against the Giants. They will be favored probably at home against the Buccaneers. They will be favored on the road at Carolina. I don't know if they'll be favored against the Vikings at home or on the road, rather. And they probably will be favored against, no, not probably. They will be favored against the Bears in week 18 at home. So they probably are going to be favored in 4 out of their final 5 games. Look out for the Green Bay Packers as well. Now, it's just a matter of, can they take advantage of the schedule, right? So that's another team. We dismissed them, but all these 5-6 teams that are sitting there, they're right there. The Rams are right there. Don't forget about New Orleans. I think they're 5-6 right now. Even though they're having some struggles and they got a ton of injuries, don't forget about them. Packers, though, I think we've been sleeping on them. That's an interesting one. All right. Let's see. Richie Rich says, I'm glad I woke up the lion. The lion woke up, excuse me. I had too much respect to see one the best football watcher these eyes have ever seen. You were heading to piss club glory. I'm lost on that one. I don't know. I don't know what you tried to say. I think you tried to talk trash, but it wasn't coherent. If you were talking trash, you got to make it make sense. I think you try to talk trash, though. I think that's what you're trying to do. Sean Blake writes, Mike McCarthy has been running a high-octane offense. What he lacks in situational awareness, he makes up in chunk plays and scoring points. Impressive as much as I hate to say it. This was impressive by Mike McCarthy, and I said that when I was talking about it. This is a really well-called game. I was impressed in that the screens were timely. And you're allowed to do a lot of things when your offensive line keeps your quarterback as clean as the Cowboys' offensive line keeps Dak. I mean, he's back there building a house for much of the night. I mean, like I told you, the man hadn't been touched in 3 games. I told you his Thanksgiving, the only stain on his jersey after the Thanksgiving game was from the bite of turkey he took. He got a little turkey juice on his jersey, right? Like, you're allowed to call a lot of things, right, when your quarterback is back there building a house. Remember, I talked about a touchdown pass that he threw to CeeDee Lamb, and He had like 8 seconds to throw the ball. CeeDee Lamb ran the longest whip route I think I ever seen ran. Like it was a post corner. I forgot who they were playing against. I don't remember who it was, but I was like, God damn. How long is he going to have? It might have been the Commanders on Thanksgiving. I'm like, it was the Commanders. That's who it was. This is the longest post corner I've ever seen in my life. How do you expect a cornerback to cover for that long? It helps when your offensive line is doing work like theirs is right now. But Dak is also locked in, and their receivers are getting open, and he's finding them. You know, they got some good play at the tight end position as well. And I think he's really doing a good job. Gotta give credit where credit is due. He is doing a really good job. See, we got 5 minutes left. See if there's any more comments. If not, we'll just get out of here. I think we might be done. We might be able to get out of here. All right, yeah, we're just gonna get out of here. So, what a game. What a win for Dallas. Look, we can sit here and pick apart their defense and talk about what they didn't get done. When the game was on the line, they did get it done. But ultimately, the name of the game is just find a way to win. And I love Dan Campbell. I love the line. We'll never apologize for how we win. Just find a way to win. They won that game in which he was referencing 41-38 over the Chargers. Cowboys win the game tonight, 41-35 over the Seahawks. Find a way to win, right? Now, I'm still going to talk about your defense. Just because you won doesn't mean we bury our head in the sand and ignore the fact that your defense was shredded tonight. But find a way to get to 9-3. Figure out all of the issues you had defensively on the fly. You got 10 days now to prepare for the biggest game of your season to date, a home contest against the Philadelphia Eagles. You watch on Sunday, you see if that game's for first place or if you're just fighting to stay close within striking distance. Whatever the case may be, you got to beat Philadelphia in week 14. You needed to win in week 13 first to set the table, right? To set the stage. You did that, and now you're 9-3. Questions, though. Questions about your defense. Nonetheless, you get it done. And I still have questions about your offense in the red zone. 4 of 8. It's a lot of damn trips to the red zone. 8 mother effing trips. The Cowboys had 11 possessions tonight. 8 of them ended in the red zone. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. They had 11 possessions. They didn't punt a single time. 8 of the 11 possessions ended in the red zone. They went 4 of 8, 50% in the red zone, which isn't terrible, but it ain't good. Not when you got 8 trips. Wowzers. Wowzers. Just think about it this way. Had they scored touchdowns on just 6 of those, you're talking about 42 points. Forget about the other trips that, they didn't end, their possession didn't end in a red zone trip, but rather just a touchdown or a field goal. Just if they went 8 times, if they just scored 6 touchdowns, that's 42 points. What in the hell? Anyway, Seahawks weren't bad themselves. They had 5 trips to the red zone in 10 possessions. Half of their possessions ended in the red zone. But I'm still tripping off of Dallas because literally 88% of their 11 possessions ended in a trip to the red zone. Well, I don't know if that's 88%. I think that's like 76% or something like that. That's ridiculous. A shade over a quarter, let's call it 77.5, almost 78%. because 8 of 12 would have been 75%. And 8 of 10 would have been 80. So it's right in the middle somewhere in there. So we'll call it 77%. 77% of their drives tonight ended in the red zone. Now they got to figure out a way to put it in the end zone. You get 8 trips to the red zone, you got to be better than 4 of 8. But my goodness, that's the kind of shit they're on. That's the type of time they're on right now offensively. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me. I look forward to chopping it up with you tomorrow. Hopefully, can't make you any promises. Hopefully, we will have a Louie T Network podcast episode, and we'll have plenty to talk about. Plenty of Thursday night leftovers. I'm still eating Thanksgiving leftovers. It's plenty of leftovers from this game to munch on. Hopefully, we get a chance to talk about it tomorrow. And then if you're a member, if you're a subscriber over on MusicHead University, you get a new upload tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. And it's a good one. I think you're going to enjoy it. So if you haven't already done so, sub up MusicHead University and be on the lookout for a new upload tomorrow. But that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Thursday Night Football Overtime. Seahawks, Cowboys. What a football game. Cowboys outlast the Seattle Seahawks 41-35. Improved to 9-3. Meanwhile, the Seattle Seahawks drop to 6-6 on the season. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. God bless. Good night.